So you just got done watching the fights. The kids are asleep. The wife's in the other room doing, well, what wives do.
Am I the only one that does a goddamn thing around here? How hard is it to pick up after yourself?
So decision time. You could either go in the other room and deal with...
After all I've done today, you expect me to wanna...
Or keep it locked right here, because it's time for the Billy C post-fight wrap-up on the BillyCBoxing.com network. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Billy C.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Adrien Broner, Adrian Granados post-fight show right here on Fight TV, BillyCBoxing.com, and of course our YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkin, TALKIN, boxing. Fight just ended. In case you missed it, Adrien Broner won a close split decision over Adrian Granados. The way that three judges scored the fight, 97-93 for Broner, 97-93 for Granados, and the deciding judge had it 96-94 in favor of Broner. I personally scored it 96-94 for Adrian Granados. It was a close fight. There were several rounds that could have gone each way. My overall opinion is simply this. I just thought that Adrien Broner just didn't throw enough punches, although the punch stats show that he did land more. Adrien Broner, I believe, is a talented fighter. I always have thought he was. I just think that there's something missing with the guy. I don't know what it is. He slaps his punches now. He fights safe. At times he shows, spurts of excitement, but he's evolved into a very boring fighter. He said before the fight that he was just hoping that he gets out of this fight with little damage. And to me, that's the way he was fighting, When Adrien Broner first hit the scene and he was a lightweight champion, I thought this guy was going to rewrite the history books. Instead, he's chosen a different path. Obviously, he's been in some trouble and what have you, some personal issues. As far as his talent, I believe he has it. I don't know what he's trying to do. He fights very cautiously, and no disrespect to Adrian Granados, but a fighter like Broner, in my opinion, should have made a quick and easy work out of Adrian Granados. And again, no disrespect to Granados. We're going to open up the phone lines here in a second to get your thoughts. But some of the other fights on the card, Marcus Brown in the light heavyweight division improved to 19-0 with 14 knockouts when he stopped Thomas Williams, who drops to 20 wins and 3 losses. What can you say about this fight? Marcus Brown, he's a work in progress. He's just still a little raw, and I think that he'll come along. I know that he was crying for Adonis Stevenson, but I honestly don't think he's ready for him. As far as the other fight, the world title fight, going into the fight, the WBA's regular welterweight champion, David Vanasian, came in as the champ, and he was defending his title against Lamont Peterson in a fight that I enjoyed. I enjoyed this fight. I thought referee Harvey Dock did a great job letting these guys fight inside. It was an inside fight. It was a throwback fight. And at the end of the day, I think the judges got it right. Lamont Peterson went on to win. He improved to 35 wins, 3 losses, and a draw with 17 knockouts. The way the judges scored it, 2 saw at 116-112, and the third had it a little closer, 115-113. Unanimous decision win for Adrian Peterson, and he looks to fight the winner of the Danny Garcia, Keith One-Time Thurman fight coming up. One point I do want to make on the Adrien Broner fight, in my opinion, I thought the referee was terrible. Yes, he let them fight, but he kept warning Adrian Granados for hitting, headbutting, basically. And I thought that one of the other negative things I see about Adrien Broner is that all he does now is he seems to hold and elbow and put the head down of his opponent. He's become a boring fighter. but he got the win. Phone lines are open. What's your thoughts? 845-228-8710. 845-228-8710. Give us a call. Let me know what you thought of the Adrien Broner fight. And where does he go from here? Is he going to stay in the welterweight division? Is this a division that suits him? Is discipline a problem, with him? I mean, he didn't seem fat. I mean, he came in he weighed in, I should say, at 146.5 for the fight, the same as Granados did. Don't know what he weighed the night of the fight tonight, but we know that his opponent, Granados, weighed in about 10 pounds heavier. So I don't know. I just think that Broner is better suited in the lower weight divisions. Anyway, joining us right now, I believe this is Dax. Is this you, Dax?
Yes, this is me, Dax.
Hey, this is you, Dax. I forgot. I don't have the other number in the system yet. But what'd you think of the fight, my man?
It was a good fight. It was very entertaining. Adrian Granados proved that, and I spoke to a lot of people saying, most of his losses, when you look at them, they were close. And when you see the split decisions and the majority decisions, he was always the B-side fighter. So he's been robbed in a few fights, and I'm not saying that he's a world beater, but he definitely came in here and showed that this kid belongs up there. I personally had it in 97-93 for Granados, simply for the fact that he bullied Broner. There were some times, if you look at the 7th round, he actually outboxed Broner. His biggest mistake was he would kind of go in there with his head down, and that's when Broner was able to tie him up. If he would have used his jab a little more, I think he could have made the fight a lot easier. But Adrien Broner did show some heart. He showed that he's a guy that's willing to dig in the trenches. He also showed that he's not a guy that really likes to really likes to train hard. I actually believe that. Broner refused to get on the scale. Granados came in at 156.5. Broner wouldn't get out of this on the scale. I think Broner was a little bit out of shape. He definitely doesn't have the power to be a full-fledged welterweight. We already know that, and definitely the thought of I can capture a world title at 154 pounds. Can you actually picture Adrien Broner in the ring against Demetrius Andrade? Could you imagine what would happen?
No, yeah, I do. I do know what would happen because I actually had Granados winning the fight as well, a little closer than you. 96-94 is the way I scored it. I think what hurt Granados, Dax, was that he didn't seem to have much on his punches. Even in the beginning of the fight, when you would assume that he had a full tank of gas, I thought that Adrien Broner, and I do agree with you, I think he's got a discipline problem, and he was gassed. He clearly was gassed after 8. But his punches, when he did throw them, and when they did land, seemed to be more effective on Granados, and maybe that's what the judges were scoring. But I've always kind of liked Broner. I just think he's become kind of a boring fighter, and again, a safety first change. What I used to admire about him, Dax, was the fact that he would stand in the pocket. He did display hand speed, and he does counterpunch well. I think he's a talent that we're not tapping. He's not tapping his full potential.
He's not tapping it, and at the lower weights, I really thought he was a sensational fighter. Later on, another day, not today, we can get into more detail about his career. I actually had one of the social media experts go crazy on me last night, telling me that Adrien Broner should fight Terrence Crawford next because Adrien Broner can beat anybody, any of the bums Crawford has in more dominating fashion. He's going to knock Granados out. And when I said, you mean like John Molina Jr.? And the guy, he actually gave me a bunch of curse words and he blocked me because I said like John Molina Jr. So, but Adrien Broner, if you look at his career, Bill, we'll speak about that during the week. It's kind of carefully guided, and I think a lot of that is for the fact that Adrien Broner has shown a lack of discipline. It has nothing to do with his skill set. Now, Al Bernstein, real quick, Well, he's turned into a rah-rah man. He speaks about. We've seen Broner fade late in fights. Paul, you had success with him. Sean Porter had success with him. Marcus Maidana had success with him late to a degree. Marcus Maidana beat the shit out of him. What are you talking about, Al?
Yeah, the broadcast team is it's terrible. That Mauro Ronaldo, it's very hard to watch. But let me ask you this: I got other people trying to call. We're only going to take one caller at a time, by the way. So if we're not answering, call back when the line is open. What was your thoughts on the Lamont Peterson fight? I enjoyed that fight. I really enjoyed that fight, Dax. What did you think?
I thought it was a great fight. I thought, Lamont Peterson showed that, the break did him well. The time off. David Avanesian showed, he's a solid fighter. He's not that top class, but he's certainly not a journeyman either. I think maybe a little bit more activity off of him would have been better off. But other than that, that was it was a solid fight all around. Is it going to be a fight of the year candidate? No, of course not. But there's nothing you can complain about in that bout, in my opinion. The one thing before I go, I will say, Marcus Brown. I'm sorry, he's a dirty fighter. I don't like him. He's this isn't the first time that he did things he did tonight. He's going to cry afterwards. Well, I didn't realize he was down, but then it's going to come out of your mouth and say, I seen he was on a knee, but I didn't know he was down. Really, Marcus? What is wrong with you?
Well,
he fought dirty against Klajic, a fight I thought he lost. He tried to hit Williams in the back of the head. He looked right at the head and had his hand ready to hit him. And, if it wasn't for the referee, he would have, So I'm not really sure how Ken Milner let this continue. He reminds me very much to Terrell Williams, who fought Pritchard Colon. He's a guy who is known to cheat, hit in the back of the head. He says one thing, but when you look at the video, you see it. And him calling out Adonis Stevenson, I don't know. Guys get too full of themselves, Bill. This would be my rant for the night. I know you're not a big Adonis Stevenson fan, but let me tell you something. When guys fight Adonis Stevenson, I think Morrow actually said this correctly. He doesn't end careers, but guys are never the same after they fight him. And Marcus Brown, you're not ready for Adonis Stevenson. What I would really like is for Marcus Brown to fight Joe Smith Jr. for the right to fight Adonis Stevenson. And this way, when Joe Smith Jr. beats Stevenson, the winner fights him, because, I'd like to see Joe Smith Jr. put Brown on his back, because he wouldn't have a chance to sit there and give a sucker punch, because Joe Smith would let him know. Do it for a fight from New York. I don't like the guy. That's my rant for the day.
The funny thing is, Marcus Brown has a long way to go. He's wild. He needs to smooth out the edges, so to speak. But the thing with him is he's not mentally strong, and a guy like Joe Smith might give him some trouble. I know he was calling out Adonis Stevenson, but that would be the fight. They're trying to keep Stevenson with a belt, and he should be able to beat. I would think he would be able to beat Marcus Brown pretty easily. One last question. I wanted to get your thoughts on something I noticed, and this is, again, the Peterson fight, relating to the Peterson fight. Although I enjoyed the body work and it was fantastic, I can't give Harvey Dock enough credit for letting them fight. A lot of referees would break them up, like we saw in the Adrien versus Adrian fight. But do you think that they were talking about that it was most likely Lamont Peterson's game plan for this particular fight? But it's almost like he's abandoned the headshot. Lamont Peterson always looks like he's in fantastic shape, never seemed to be breathing hard, but he also didn't throw a hell of a lot of punches. There were times during that fight, Dax, where, granted, he was working the body, but I thought he should have went upstairs a few times. It just seemed to me that he was conserving energy when he didn't have to. He ended that fight. I know his trainer said, "Give me everything" in the last round. He ended that fight. I still think he had some fuel in the tank. What do you think?
Hey, you know what? You had a long break off. You're going in there against, a solid guy. As I stated, not the top of the tier, but Avanesian is definitely a guy who you cannot take lightly. And after that long break, Peterson came in and he boxed well. But, we on the other side, you're like, yeah, maybe he had some more gas. But you know something? If it was an ugly fight, if he didn't throw, hardly any punches, and he pot shotted all night. Yes, then maybe we can say something, but you know what? He went out there, he did some work, he got the work in, he had the right guy in front of him, he can. And now, you know what? His next fight, you know, he'll take on somebody bigger, and somebody better, of course, another welterweight. So, I think he did a great job tonight, and especially, for a comeback fight. How many guys, Bill, did we see, top-level guys, whether former world champions, and we have a multi-division world champion that would come back. Forget about a guy like David Avanesian. They're going to sit there and fight a guy that's 11 and 54.
Right.
And then pound their chest when they knock the guy out after he's been knocked out 76 times in his last 77 fights, and he's 61 years old.
Hear you there, my man. Listen, we'll chat again on Monday, brother.
All right, everybody, enjoyed the card, and I'll talk to you then.
All right, take care. That's Dax Khan. Check him out. He gets his time on Mondays. And if you're new, right, the phone line is open. I know there were a lot of people trying to call. We're only taking one caller at a time, 845-228-8710. If you stumble across this post-fight show, we do a daily show. The Billy C. Show airs 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time right here where you're watching the show right now. I want to give a shout-out to the Turning Stone Resort and Casino. Make sure you go there. Make your plans to be at the Turning Stone for March 11th when another great middleweight fight, Curtis Stevens, takes on David Lemieux. I'm going to be ringside, so come on down, get yourself some tickets. Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the fight poster, which is right there on the right-hand side. Got another caller on the line. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Billy, it's Alex from Tampa.
Alex, what's up, my man? What'd you think of the fight?
I mean, I was a little disappointed in Broner. The first couple of rounds, he came out pretty strong, but I don't know, man. I just don't trust Adrien Broner. I remember at the last big, the Santa Cruz and
Frampton?
Santa Cruz and the Frampton fight. I remember, there were some shots and videos after the fact, and I was seeing Adrien Broner eating nacho chips and dip and all this other stuff. And then, it turns up a few weeks later, he can't make the weight, So, I don't know. I still don't think this guy is really giving the sport his full attention. I mean, even towards the end of the rounds, this was, mind you, this was a 10-round fight, and he was blowing from, I believe, the 6th or 7th round. I just don't really trust Broner at this point. He's not a welterweight at this point. I think he needs to do something with his diet or figure out a way to compete at welterweight if he's going to move up. But I think it's a conditioning issue, and I don't know. I don't feel that his team is really good for him right now. I think, sometimes you hear the same trainer over and over and over and over again. At some point, it's just good to kind of make a transition. I just don't think his current trainer is able to really get through him at this point. He just needs to kind of scrap it, or yes, I was going to say probably bring in a second voice, but I think he needs to scrap it all together and give him somebody who's much more of a disciplinarian, because he's his coach at this point.
Well, I feel you, man, and I agree with a lot what he's saying. And you make an interesting point about his trainers. What I think I see. First of all, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I've always thought that Adrien Broner had this talent. I loved him as a lightweight, and I said it as we started the show. And it bothers me because I don't think we see the potential out of Adrien Broner. I think we've seen an Adrien Broner evolve into a kind of a lazy fighter in and out of the ring, like you suggest with his discipline. As far as the trainers, I think you bring up a great point, but I think the reason why he's got the trainers that he has now is because they listen to what he says. He needs a kick in the ass kind of trainer that he would actually listen to. It goes back to the Maidana fight. If you recall, when he was getting rocked, he would come back and there was panic in his corner. And Adrien Broner actually was the guy in charge of the corner, despite him being the fighter. So I think you're onto something there. Maybe he needs to get a trainer that will kick him in the ass. But on the other hand, he's got to listen. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. And you also bring up a good point, because I remember that, yeah, he was yelling at the coach. I think this was like right after he got dropped by Maidana. Yeah, I remember they were like going back. He's like, I know, I got it, or whatever he was saying.
Exactly.
And yeah, and I remember like, and back in the day, you know, because how boxing is today, like it's way much more apparent that the fighter is the boss. You know, once upon a time, you know, the trainers was not only the trainer but the manager, so they had a much bigger role at that point in time, and even in the 90s still, but like nowadays, you know, the fighter is clearly the boss. And so a lot of times, a lot of these guys, even though they're good trainers, a lot of times they don't necessarily want to upset their fighter, because essentially the fighter is their boss in some ways, or in the major ways. So a lot of times, you know, like there's this with fighter, like if the fighter is not really listening to their trainer, some trainers, like a Teddy Atlas, like he's the type of trainer, he'll walk away. And those type of trainers are needed, but you know, especially like with a guy who's not necessarily doing what they really need to do. But I thought, but to transition to the other fights, man, I thought I was kind of disappointed. I mean, the fight was great, but I felt like Lamont Peterson. I just don't get Lamont Peterson. Like, I feel that like he fights to his competition. Like, I don't understand his mindset. Like, he's way better than what he is. Like, I remember he fought Danny Garcia. Like, he clearly, to me, beat Danny Garcia. Like, I felt like he won that fight, but it's just, I don't know, like, what goes through his mind or whatever. Like, I don't know if it's his coaching, but it's just like whenever he fights a guy, he fights to the competition. Like, he goes down, he fights it. Like, I just don't understand. It's just like he's trying to keep it a balanced fight for whatever reason. What are your thoughts?
I think he's underrated, but I hear what you're saying, and that's what I was just saying to Dax. Here he was. He worked the body great, but he just and he wasn't tired. He's in phenomenal shape. He gets into situations during a round where he stops throwing punches, and I don't know if it's a mental block, if it's part of his game plan, if he's overthinking. He doesn't seem automatic in the ring. And that's one thing that I notice. He doesn't do things automatically like great fighters do. He's thinking. He's thinking before he throws a punch. He's thinking before he moves his feet or does something. There's almost a delay for everything he does, and he's got to become automatic. And we'll see what happens. I mean, I like the fight, but I definitely hear what you're saying. But you make going back to the other thing. You make a good point about the trainers with the fighters being the boss. It reminds me of a time one time with one of our fighters. I remember this fighter. I don't want to mention who it was. Got sick of a trainer, and all of a sudden was acting like this fighter knew it all. And basically the fighter said all they need is somebody to give them water in the corner, which is BS. and really what you get out of a trainer is camaraderie plus a guy that's seeing things in a different way that maybe you don't see them, even though you're the guy fighting. So once that relationship gets to that point where a fighter feels he doesn't need that trainer, it's over, and both should go in different directions. And a job is a job. I hear what you're saying, but they're not helping each other in that case. Trust me.
Yeah, like Chavez Jr. is the personification of everything we just said. Like, this guy, like, he hires a coach on a fight by fight basis. Like, I don't understand this guy. Like, he's been with the ropes, and he goes with, he's going with guys who, by today's standards, are great trainers. He went with Rhodes. Now he's with Ignacio Beristain down in Mexico. He was with the Garcias. I mean, he's just hopping over. He's just like all over the place. So I don't really understand this guy, but it just goes back to what I'm saying. Today, like, fighters are the boss through and through, and unless you're like with someone who has like real big cachet, like a Rhodes or like a Virgil Hunter, or someone who just has big cachet in the sport, like, they don't necessarily will speak out. I feel is because essentially you pay their bills. But the last point I wanted to make, I know you're a big stickler on like the broadcast and a lot of how they're kind of moderating the show and whatnot. And I get that from an aesthetics and a viewing perspective. But my issue with this with this whole, and maybe this is not the Showtime crew, but like the promoters and I don't know if it was the commission, like I don't know what was going on with the fucking ropes, man. The ropes were like all over the place. When the fighters weighed in, the scale was broken. I don't know if you know that, but the scale was broken during the weigh-ins. I'm like, how do you not have a properly worked scale and then the tarmac and the ropes were all over the place? It was just disgusting to me.
No doubt, and that's totally the commission's fault. Has nothing to do with the television broadcast. The commissions, we were talking about that earlier in the week on our show about the safety, actually, the overall safety of fighters with these smaller commissions that don't require precautions, let's just use that word based on your question, that other bigger commissions do. And although promoters will flock to these smaller commissions because it's easier and cheaper for them, in the long run, it's more dangerous for the fighters. And as we saw, not only was it dangerous for the fighters, but the people around the ring in the case with the those loose ropes. And thank God it wasn't a heavyweight fight, man. Somebody would have landed in the third row. But great points. I appreciate it, Alex. And hopefully hopefully tune in next week. We'll be doing the post-fight after the Povetkin-Washington fight.
Povetkin?
That's Wilder. I was doing a play on words. I was doing a play on words because Wilder already beat Povetkin in the courts. Remember?
I haven't seen you talk about that on the radio show. So what's your thoughts on the apparently Wilder got $5 million off that.
I did talk about it earlier in the week, and I'm shocked that he got awarded that. But on the other hand, maybe it's just a subtle way of getting back at a cheater. I mean, listen, Povetkin had several chances. He's tested dirty. It is what it is. My hang-ups with Wilder, fine, I agree. Don't fight Povetkin, but he's got to fight somebody. He can't keep fighting these cupcakes. He can't. And no disrespect to Washington, and maybe Washington would have been a more tougher opponent down the road. But right now, he's not ready for a fight of that magnitude. No way.
Yeah, there's only 4. I mean, in all honesty, there's only 4 heavyweights out there that we would give him respect. It's Fury, Vlad, AJ, and
Ortiz.
What's his name? Ortiz. I mean, pretty much that, and maybe the Jamaican guy over there who fought AJ last. What's his name? Out of the UK with the long arms. Oh my God.
Who? What guy?
Dillian White.
Oh, Dillian White. Yeah, well, I tell you who you're going to get to see him fight. You're going to see him fight the winner of Joseph Parker Huey Fury, which will be the WBO champ. Then he'll be pounded on his chest that he's a unified champion. So, anyway.
I mean, I get it. I think you're way harder on him than I am, but I get it. Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's Tyson Fury and then everyone else because Tyson Fury did beat Vlad, but it'll be interesting to see how Vlad and AJ matches up. I got money on Vlad. I just don't know if AJ has the skills.
Can't wait for that. Can't wait for that fight. I'm a big AJ fan, but I tell you, we got some good fights coming up. We got Garcia and Thurman. We got we got to count Deontay Wilder's next fight. I mean, everybody's going to watch that. Then of course you got Triple G and Daniel Jacobs. So we got a lot, man. We'll be doing some post fights.
All right, man. Have a good night.
All right, my man. Take care. Great points from my man Alex in Tampa. Phone line is open. We'll take a couple of more callers, one at a time, please. 845-228-8710. 845-228-8710. Alex makes some great points about Adrien Broner and his training staff. You know, is it their fault? Is it Adrien Broner? You know, he seemingly surrounded himself with a bunch of yes men. And, you know, in the heat of battle, the negative side of having yes men is maybe they're not telling you the truth. You know, one thing that I always thought with fighters and relationships with fighters, trainers, even fighter and management relationships, you got to trust what your team says. And if you're not willing to be in a team environment, well, you know, remember, there's no I in team. Joining us right now, my man, Alex Papali. What'd you think of the fight, brother?
Good to see. I thought it was a really good night of fights.
So did I.
Well, we had two good ones. The first one wasn't that great, but it was still okay.
Yeah, that was an odd. I can't wait to ask Larry about, you know, I get what the referee did in terms of deducting the point. He could have deducted two.
He could have disqualified him.
But
I thought he was gonna.
But he counted. Why did he go to 10? He counts to 10, and Thomas was actually still laying on the canvas, and then he kind of helps him up, and he tells him to go to the neutral corner, and then everything goes on. Then he was confused. He was going to say he wanted it to just start as the third round, and then he realized he had to pick up. I mean, it got a little confusing there. I would think that he would have. I would have thought that Thomas would have had to have risen at some point. I don't know. Unless he just waved off the count and then called it an illegal blow right from the get-go, not due to count. I'm curious to see what Larry's going to say. What do you think?
Yeah, did he get to 10? Because if he didn't get to 10, then yeah, that's what he did was wave off the count. But you're right. If he did hit 10, then it was a little confusing. I thought the call he made was the right one by giving him a full 5 minutes to recover. But you're right. Maybe that is worth watching again because he pulled him up. He helped him up, and usually a ref doesn't do that. But that because it was clearly a foul and he was ruling it a foul, I thought that was it was no big deal. But then he gave him the full 5 minutes. I don't know. I do think that it was. I didn't buy what Brown said at the end that he didn't know he was on the ground. He was on a knee.
Well, he didn't know until the idiot made him watch the film. Then what could he say? You know, I mean, it was pretty obvious. But how about the Lamont Peterson fight? I actually loved the infighting in that, and I loved the fact that Harvey Dock let them do that. But I wonder about some of the points the previous callers are making about Lamont Peterson. Is this a guy that has become? Is he overthinking? I mean, what did you see in that?
I don't know. I really enjoyed that fight. I thought he fought very well. I thought it was a good. What was the final score? That fight, he won a unanimous decision.
Yeah, the final score on that was 115-113, and two had it at 116-112 all for Adrien Peterson.
Okay, yeah, that made sense.
No. My point is, I thought he won the fight too, and I thought he did a great job with the breaking down the body. But there were times when, and he, he's in phenomenal shape. There were times when he wasn't throwing punches, and I was a little perplexed about that because, with a better opponent, I mean. Maybe the previous caller was right. Maybe he fights to his level of op. I mean, I don't know. I loved the fight. I thought it was good. I clearly thought he won. But again, both he and Adrien Broner, I feel, are better than their performance showed.
Well, I think Broner, both guys I think were dealing with a little bit of, had been a little while in terms of, layoff, so they're kind of shaking off a little bit of rust. But I do think that I liked how Peterson looked. I really enjoyed that fight. They really just sort of leaned on each other, just sort of shoulder to shoulder and just kind of banged away. And you're right, I like the way the ref would let them fight in close, and just some great body work in that fight. And I thought the main event had some really nice exchanges. The 9th round was awesome. And I thought that Granados deserved the decision. I had it 6-4 Granados, and I thought that Broner was just a little too. Granados made the fight. He was so much busier, but there's no doubt about it. When Broner would land, they would be big, damaging shots, and they would change the course of the round. So I wasn't too upset with the decision, but I did think I don't know. I mean, I think that that's a tough question. Do they fight, to their own, to the level of their opposition? Maybe a little bit.
I thought Granados won the fight as well, but it was a very close fight. Some of those rounds were close. I'm not sure. I do think that Adrien Broner did land the harder punches, but I thought he fought in spurts, and I can't stand what his style has evolved to. I think he's way better than what he's delivering. I think it's a discipline issue. This was a guy that, when he was a lightweight, I'm not saying he could make lightweight again, but when he was a lightweight, he would exchange, he'd stand in the pocket, you couldn't hit him, he was counterpunching, he had blazing speed, accuracy. Tonight, I saw some great counterpunching, I saw his speed. He definitely doesn't have the power. He took a lot of shots. He's not throwing as many punches. He's fighting like Floyd Mayweather, really. I mean, I hate to say it, but he is. He's fighting safety first, and he's become boring. If Granados had more pop behind his punches, I think he wins the fight easily. Not just on my scorecard, but I think he wins the fight easily. I think that his lack of pop hurt him in this fight.
I think that he definitely. It would be nice if he increases punch output, and I think that speaks to conditioning. You're right. I mean, that we had a sign of that when the weight of the fight increased, just with 2 weeks out, a week out. That shows that he's not training to the in terms of conditioning. Something's lacking. So, and you do see it. I think he would have left a lot more doubt. The whole question of hometown decision comes up because it's a close fight. If he was in better shape, threw more punches, maybe he does win bigger and makes it more convincing. But if the worst thing that ends up happening is we get a rematch in the Chicago area, hey, I'd love to see that.
I doubt you'll see a rematch. I don't think Granados is a big enough name, but that is a great segue to what I was just going to ask you. Do you think he stays as a welterweight? And if so, I mean, how do you see him going up against some of these top welterweights? I mean, guys like Thurman and Garcia and Sean Porter, Errol Spence, Kell Brook. I mean, I don't see him competing with these guys.
Yeah, I think he's in trouble against those guys because you're right. He doesn't have the power against them. If he did, he would have, done more damage to Granados, and he certainly didn't. I think he definitely that's why the fight, to me was close. Was that he was the guy landing the heavier punches, but they weren't. They'd have to do at least that much damage to a Thurman, and no, I don't think they would. Granados is a young, kind of inexperienced guy. I think that you're right. If he thinks he's gonna leap into the top welterweights, no, he's mistaken. Which again speaks to the idea that he should be in better condition. He'd be able to fight at a lighter weight class, and his power would be able to be more effective.
Even 140.
Exactly.
Even 140, there could be big fights at 140. Like he was saying, he thinks he could win a world title at 154, and like Dax pointed out, come on, could you imagine him in there with Demetrius Andrade? No way. I just don't see it, and I do think he kind of got the gift of a hometown decision, but it's a shame because he does possess the talent. I don't dig his whole shtick, but I don't know. Hey, listen, he won the fight. It was a close fight. I thought that it should have went the other way, but I just feel that Adrien Broner he's better than he looked, and I think that his new adoption of the safety first style isn't going to help him in the long run.
Yeah, I think that it's not going to make him any new fans, that's for sure. But I do think he looks pretty good tonight, and I do think that but he did get a little bit of a gift. He was the promoter after all.
Tell me something. Why was Mayweather Promotions? Which fighter was his?
I don't know is it Marcus Brown?
Marcus Brown?
Or is Marcus Brown? Yeah, he's a Mayweather fighter, isn't he?
I don't know. Maybe that's what it was.
I thought I saw what's his name, Sam Watson, in the ring with him.
Yeah, he was in the ring with everybody.
I don't think he was in there with Broner. Maybe he was.
He was in there with
Granados.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, okay.
He was. Maybe Granados. Nah, probably not. I don't know. But anyway, any final thoughts?
No, just hey, it was a very enjoyable night of fights, and I'm very excited for March. We got a lot going on. It was I got excited to see that little clip they showed of the basically an ad for Thurman Garcia. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's coming up, and we got next week the heavyweight fight. Then we got the fight I'm going to be ringside for. Curtis Stevens against David Lemieux, and we got Triple G.
Jacobs.
Yeah, then we got Triple G. I know. I mean, then we got AJ and Klitschko after that. So and then you got the nail biter of all fights. Saul Canelo Alvarez against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I mean, geez, what else can we ask?
It's pretty awesome. You could throw a Wolverine movie in there and a King Kong movie in there.
Oh yeah,
it's going so good you can almost forget who the president is.
I tell you right now, I can't wait to see that new King Kong movie. But
I'm looking forward to that.
But and hey, maybe even Mayweather McGregor. Nah, we don't want that. Alex, we'll talk to you Wednesday, my man.
All right, Billy, so take care.
You can check out Alex does our Blast from the Past. If you're new, if you're stumbling across this show right now, we do air Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time right here on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING. Also on Fight TV. Download the app right now for free. Go to Fight, F-I-T-E, fight.tv/Billy C. and download the app. And, of course, you can catch the show right on BillyCBoxing.com. We're also on 38 stations throughout the U.S. and Canada. And we also are on a podcast, on KHZ Podcast and iTunes. So check us out. Phone line is open. We got time to take another caller, 845-228-8710, in case you're tuning in late. The Adrien Broner-Granados fight finished. It was a very entertaining fight with Adrien Broner squeaking out a split decision win. One judge scored it for Granados 97-93, while the other two scored it for Broner. One had it 97-93, and the other had it 96-94. I personally scored the fight 96-94 in favor of Granados. I thought Granados pressed the action. I thought he landed more shots in more rounds to win the rounds, although the punch stats, which are subjective numbers, showed that Adrien Broner landed more punches, which I don't understand because he certainly didn't throw more. But his accuracy was there, I guess. He did seem to throw the harder punches, although they never affected Granados. At least I didn't see it. I thought the referee in that fight, Ernie Sharif, did a terrible job. He was warning Granados for things that were actually beyond his control, when he should have been warning Adrien Broner for holding and pushing down Granados' head, and also elbowing and forearming and giving him the business down there, But, I'm just a little disappointed in Adrien Broner. I just thought that, and again, I know he's hasn't been in the ring for a little bit, but I just, I hate to be correct on this one, but I look ahead on Adrien Broner and I see a guy that's going to fight sort of the way he fought tonight forever. And it's a shame because I do think he does have the talent. The guy's got the hand speed. And if he could get disciplined and go back to at least 140, 140 would be a perfect weight for him. He could dominate the junior welterweight division and go from there. He's thinking about moving up in weight, which I think is the worst thing he could do. The co-main event was a very entertaining fight between the former world champion, David Evanescence, going up against Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson came in and after 12 rounds wrestled the title away from the WBA regular welterweight champ, David Evanescence. And now Peterson, I said Adrian Peterson, I meant Lamont Peterson. He's 35 wins, 3 losses, and a draw with 17 knockouts. Unanimous decision. All 3 judges saw it in Lamont Peterson's favor. 115, 113, and 2 at it, 116, 112. Lamont Peterson's performance, I thought, was good. He broke down David Evanescence, although Evanescence did his own to make it a very entertaining fight. Kudos to Harvey Dock, the referee, for letting these guys fight inside. It was a typical phone booth fight. My only knock on Lamont Peterson is that I saw spots where he could have let his hands go a little more and, would have won more decisively, I thought. But hey, he's back. He's been out of the ring for quite a while, so maybe it was a bit of ring rust. He did seem like he was in great shape. So we'll go from there, I guess. But, hey, don't forget that we have a great fight that's coming up from the Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York, on March 11th, when David Lemieux takes on Curtis Stevens. Now, I'm going to be ringside, and I want you to be ringside, too. Get yourself some tickets right now by visiting BillyCBoxing.com and clicking on the Turning Stone fight poster, which is right there on the right-hand side. Don't forget to get a copy of my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now, where all good books are sold. And you can literally get a copy of it right now by going to BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to the Baddest Man on the Planet, is a story of a guy who was born a slave in the United States, was forced into fighting, eventually won his freedom, and went on to become the most famous guy in the world during his lifetime. Fast forward to 200 years, he's virtually forgotten. Read the book, find out why I'm so adamant about getting his story told, especially on the big screen. But and don't forget that we air our show every day, 8 to 10 a.m., right here where you're watching it. Well, we had the phone line open, and we do this for all the big fights, so you can count on us doing a post-fight show next week as well, after Deontay Wilder and Gerald Washington fight in their heavyweight matchup. On March 11th, we will not be doing a post-fight show because I'm going to be ringside, and I don't think we'll be able to do one from there, but we may. We may. Now, we will be also doing one after the Triple G Daniel Jacobs fight, which is also coming up, a fight that I can't wait to see in the middleweight division. And we are going to have some ringside guests that will be calling us. I'll probably be doing the show right from this studio, but we'll have some people at the event giving us some heads up on what's going on there. But anyway, I appreciate you guys stopping by. And don't forget to check out the show. And for all the latest boxing news that's fit to print, check out www.billycboxing.com. Hey, make sure you tune in Monday morning. Check out our show. We'd love to have you. Until then, ciao, baby.